Friends, family, students, welcome to the Grappling with Grace podcast. And today I have a very exciting guest, Officer Oscar Magaña. And before we get started, let's go ahead and read the intro and the bio. Today on Grappling with Grace podcast, we're honored to welcome Officer Oscar Magaña. Born in Los Angeles and raised in Riverside County, Oscar began his law enforcement career at just 22 years old in 2009. Since then, he has dedicated his life to public service, continuous professional development, and the pursuit of excellence, both in uniform and on the mats. Oscar began training jiu-jitsu in 2014, primarily in the gi, and competed extensively at every belt level. Every belt level. Using competition as a tool for growth, discipline, and refinement. In December 2020, he earned his black belt under Carlson Gracie in Temecula in California with Professor Tom Cronin, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. A milestone that reflected years of hard work, sacrifice, and commitment. Shortly thereafter, he transitioned exclusively, exclusively to no-gi jiu-jitsu, and now trains at the world-famous Legion Jiu-Jitsu Academy with Professor Keenan, where he continues to sharpen his skills alongside some of the sport's top practitioners. Throughout his law enforcement career, Oscar has served on multiple specialized teams and currently serves in the Force Options Training Branch as both a less lethal instructor and a firearms instructor. His experience has reinforced a simple but very powerful belief. Effective reality-based training saves lives. Amen, I believe that. He is passionate about equipping officers with practical skills, sound judgment, and the confidence needed to handle critical incidents professionally. But what truly sets Oscar apart is his mission to bridge the gap between Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and law enforcement. Through free seminars, hands-on instruction, and educational content, he advocates for integrating jiu-jitsu, control tactics, less lethal tools, and firearms training into a comprehensive approach to officer development. His philosophy is that well-trained officers are better equipped to protect both their communities and themselves. But for Oscar, jiu-jitsu is far more than a martial art. It is a lifelong pursuit that complements his calling as a law enforcement professional, instructor, and mentor. Through training, teaching, and service, he continues to make a lasting impact on the profession and those who wear the badge. Please join me in welcoming Officer Magaña. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Give me some clap first. So look here. You got an audience. Your audience. There you go. All right, let's jump into it. Let's jump into Professor, Officer, what do you want me to call you?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Whatever you want.
I was like, hey, when you guys meet him, you guys better say hello, Professor. You know? All right, let's start. Question number one. Before you ever wore the badge, who was Oscar Magaña? What led you into law enforcement?
Yeah, so Oscar Magana was myself. I was pretty much just like any other kid at the time, right? I was a skateboarder. I was in a band, punk band and things like that. And then eventually I had to grow up.
Sure.
And I always had this dream of becoming an officer, right? And initially I had applied for other agencies and so forth. Eventually getting the call that I wanted, and I took that leap, and man, it's been a journey ever since.
Was there something like a relative? Is it something that you saw on TV? How old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay, 40. So I'm 11 years older than you, right? So like when I grew up, there was like Chips and all these like cop shows.
Yeah.
Like, was there something like that, or did you experience something? What was that calling or that drive that kind of led you to law enforcement?
Yeah. So being from East Los Angeles, where I was born, and then raised in Riverside, it's safe to say that there was a lot of crime, right? And I didn't like it, so I wanted to kind of make a change, an impact. And being from a first generation, Salvadorian family, and pretty much we can say non-educated at that point, right? Extensively to how we kind of compared to the U.S. I wanted to be that forefront, that child that kind of led the way for my family. So I took the leap, and here I am.
Brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have two brothers. One passed during COVID, and then I have a younger brother
from COVID.
From COVID.
I'm sorry about that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Looking back over your career, what's one experience that fundamentally changed the way you see people?
Looking back, I think the big thing there is, every time I encounter any other person, right, whether male or female, doesn't matter what we can compare it to, but I treat them with respect, and I try to find the good in them, right, before I start pointing out, let's say, the negative of them, right?
How hard is that for you, being a law enforcement officer, right? We have seen, you see those law enforcement officers that like automatically look for the bad, maybe not that they're looking for the bad, but they've seen so much. They've seen so many horrible things. that they automatically assume? How is that a discipline that you have to force yourself? Like when you encounter somebody, or how does your mindset work when you come across somebody when they might look the part, right?
Correct.
How does that work? How does that work for you, your mindset?
I think for me, the big thing I had, I'll be honest with you. I think when I first got in at 22, I was kind of naive to it, and I kind of was stern, right? Just like we just talked about other officers, and I believe that was myself. And I credit martial arts to kind of changing the way I look at people. And I think the big thing behind that is the confidence that it brings, right? Because if you're a confident person, it doesn't matter what's in front of you, right? You see past what the person may look like or how they're acting, because you're confident in your abilities to be able to act professional in any given situation. Yeah. Right? Does that make sense?
100%. 100%. What's the biggest misconception that the public has about law enforcement officers?
I think the biggest misconception, and this isn't the first time I say this, is that we're all trained equally. Right? And I think that's a big misconception, because behind the badge is another human being.
Sure.
The badge itself doesn't give the person special powers or special abilities, and it definitely does not give them the training that they need to successfully and professionally do their job.
Right.
Does that make sense?
100%.
Right. So I think that's a big misconception, is that everyone behind the badge is properly trained. And the answer to that is no.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Right? Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And I wish things were different. And, we all advocate. I know you advocate for it as well at your academy. And I thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I think circling back to that question is that we're all equal, and we're not.
That's good. Yeah. That's really good. So why did you begin training in jiu-jitsu? What was that? What led you to the door to open, to walk into the academy? Was there a particular moment, an experience? How did your journey begin?
Yeah. So looking back, my journey began, honestly, I applied for a certain position that required me to be physically capable. Okay. Right. Defensive tactics.
Sure.
And I applied for that, again, being naive and not knowing what I put myself into. I was just, 3 years in, and I was.
So I was
already in law enforcement. And this position opened up, and I was like, I think I could do that. Yeah. Right. Not knowing what I put in for. So I put in for it. And during those tryouts itself, I realized I don't know anything.
Sure.
Right.
So Tino and all those.
I know all the.
For me and Tino started at Fabio's together in 1995 or 96.
Yeah.
And Wes and all those.
Yeah. I know. I see Tino every day.
Oh, that's good.
Right. We're on the same team right now.
I love that.
Yeah, he's great. He was there from when I started to now.
Yeah.
He was there day one. So it was coming into those guys that you just mentioned, and feeling them. And
he's not a very big dude, but he'll make you feel small.
His power, right? So it's compact power.
Yeah.
Right. But it was stepping on a mat with those guys.
Okay.
And then them having their way with me, where I was like, you know what, something has to change. And I can tell you right now, that same week, I went and I started my journey with jiu-jitsu, and I haven't looked back since.
So did you sign up at CG because of Tino and those guys? Because Tino was there, right?
Yeah. So when I started, I actually started under Humaita.
Oh, okay.
So I was Humaita for
in Temecula?
No, in Hemet, right?
With the tall who was real tall, right?
Yeah, it was Adam at the time.
Yeah.
And I still see Adam.
Okay,
with Roger at school, right? So I started at Humaita, and I spent 3 months there, and then 3 months later, that's when I moved over to Carlson Gracie. Okay. And that's when I started training with Tino full time.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I competed against Tom at the North Americans in 2007. That dude whipped my ass.
Oh, he's a monster.
He whipped my ass, like, I think it was like 24 to, it was 24-0, and I was like, just take the fucking Kimura, man. Like, it was and I was so pissed. And at the SBJJF, like, IBJJF, you don't get to fight for a third. SBJJF, you get to fight. Like, you get to fight for a third.
Yeah.
And I told the guy, I'm gonna do a fly. And at this time, I was like 270. I was a big heavy. Okay. Yeah. And it was the open. I'm gonna do a flying armbar. He goes, no, you're not. I go, yeah, I am. I'm so, like, Tom wrecked me, like wrecked me. And I was like, and I had been competing those 2 years as a black belt, like, just doing good, solid, right?
Yeah.
Like, I had never ran into anybody as smooth and technical as Tom. Like, that dude, I call him the Asian Brad Pitt, right? Good looking dude, technical, smooth. He was always like one step ahead of me. Sure. And then the next match, I got a little small dude. I just flying arm. I got there's a picture like my son has somebody painted it, but I also have the
that's cool.
flying arm. So super heavyweight. I got it. I got it. But at the expense of getting my ass filled, bro. Right? There's always like there's levels, right? You're thinking there's levels. Yeah, I walked into Tom Crony. That dude is a beast. That dude is a beast. In jiu-jitsu, if jiu-jitsu disappeared tomorrow,
yes,
what's the greatest lesson it has taught you that would still make you a better officer?
Honestly, don't underestimate anyone.
Yeah.
I think it's a big thing, right? Going back to your 270 compared to 190 pounder.
Yeah,
is respect everyone equally and don't underestimate somebody.
Yeah, that's so true in jiu-jitsu, right? You get like these. I don't like to call them jiu-jitsu nerds, but for lack of a better term, like these guys, that's all they do is jiu-jitsu, right? If you looked at them like, what is this? Like, you'd probably got bullied at school, right?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's 100% true. Yeah, that's good. Have you ever? So let's segment into let's kind of go off another track here. Have you ever had to use jiu-jitsu on duty without compromising anyone's privacy? Can you share a moment when your training changed the outcome of an incident?
Yeah, I can 100% fully say that I have used jiu-jitsu in the line of duty.
Yeah.
Right. Without going into details.
Sure.
I mean, the big thing from jiu-jitsu itself, let's just say there was other officers on scene that were being overpowered.
Wow.
I think I had just received my brown belt at the time. So this was a while ago.
Yeah.
Right. And when I arrived on scene, they were, like I said, they were being overpowered. I came in, took the individual down, rode knee on belly.
Yeah.
Right. Controlled him, went into a gift wrap, eventually ended up in mount.
Yeah.
Right. Eventually the individual went ahead and went belly down and just arm extractions.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, jiu-jitsu definitely, like going back to a superpowered term, it's a superpower.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, that's one moment when I use jiu-jitsu to the fullest. There's other times where easily like a body lock, for example, right? Or like a takedown. But those, I mean, I don't credit that to jiu-jitsu as much as I do controlling a body on the ground itself.
Yeah.
Right?
Someone trying to get up.
Exactly. Yeah. Someone trying to cause bodily harm.
When I first, I'm a Dean Lister black belt, and we left, me, Dean, and Tino, and all those guys started with Fabio Santos like back in 95, 96. And then we opened up the Dean Lister Academy. And at that point, we were doing a lot of competition. And I think when Dean got his purple belt, right before we left, he started fighting MMA, right?
Okay.
And at that time, people have no idea what it was like back in the day. Like there wasn't a no gi season. It was gi all year round. And then in the summertime, Fabio would say like, take off your gi tops. And then you just had like a tank top, and it was like, that was no gi. There was no like season. It was just, and so Dean wanted to start fighting MMA more and doing more no gi. We got kicked out, and I don't know how many times from Fabio's back and forth. And long story short, most of my early training was like kind of competition based training, but every once in a while the old man would bring out this big duffel bag. I'm sure Tino remember, of just like a big duffel bag of gloves, right? But there was not one pair in the thing. So you had like a taekwondo, remember like the old taekwondo, you had like a taekwondo foam glove, and then like another, like a hockey glove, right? And it's just like you pick a pair of gloves, and then, okay, Oscar, take down Tony. Tony, hit Oscar in the face. Don't get hit. There's no instruction. And so guess what, man? You learn really quick.
Yeah.
Right? We even had a Friday night street. It was called, so Master Colon Valente, who's a Corral belt, still in San Diego, he used to run the Friday night. It was called Friday Night Street Fighting Class. Like that was the name of the class. Yeah. And it was just me getting beat up by Brazilians. I was like the only American in the class, just getting beat up by Brazilians. And so I understood that. And a big part of me doing jiu-jitsu, I used to be a bodyguard and kidnapper for a drug cartel family.
Yeah.
And so that was what I needed, And so jumping ahead, most of my teaching was just kind of based off of Dean and Fabio's teaching, competition style training. But I always enjoyed the fact that because I was doing what I was doing, hey, learn how to train with punches, all these types of things, right? So when I was with Hoyle Gracie and we opened up Gracie Sumaita, I was still kind of figuring out what my style of teaching was, right? I had just opened up a school. I had just left Throwdown. I had opened up Victory with Dean, all those guys, and I left to do my own thing. And one of my good friends at the time was an officer for Harbor Patrol, right? And more I had started implementing strikes in all the classes, just as a warm-up.
Yeah.
Punch block series, stuff like that. And then more and more I would implement, okay, the last 2 rounds, don't get touched in the face. So, right, you're going to figure out what works, right?
You're going to learn.
And so it ended up happening that this officer that was a really good friend, we're still good friends with the family, really good friend of mine. There's, how they say there's no such things as like a routine traffic stop.
Oh, for sure.
So he gets a call on Harbor Drive. Somebody's looking in cars with a flashlight, approaches the guy. As soon as he makes the approach, the contact, the guy reaches for his gun. They fight for the gun. The guy couldn't take his gun out at first, but took my friend's, the officer's taser.
Okay.
Burned my friend in the face with the taser, lit him up. Then the gun comes loose. Long story short, he has to take this guy's life, right? And within the next 2 days, he gave me a call and he goes, hey man, he goes, I need to tell you, the only reason I'm alive is because of the way you teach, is your training.
Yeah.
And this guy was a really good friend of mine. And so at that moment, I began to realize it doesn't matter for me. The gold medals, none of those things matter. My friend could have died.
Oh yeah.
And he's crediting, not me, but he's crediting the style and the more reality based.
Yes.
And there's like people have there's this thing, self-defense for just fucking move. Go train. Go train. Go move your body, man. You're going to be better off than someone who doesn't. I don't care. But I also believe that you have to train for your reality, right? So if you want to be a world champion, man, you want to be at Legion or Alliance, you want to, right? But if you're a cop, once a week, you should be turning your punches, right? You got to be doing your weapons detack, all that stuff like that, blade work and stuff. And so when he said that to me, it fundamentally changed the way I see what I felt was my duty to my students. Because at that point, we were starting to get a lot of military and law enforcement guys into the gym. And so that was the year that I completely changed my teaching style of just being self-defense oriented first, And what is self-defense other than like basic fundamentals with the punch block series,
And there's more to self-defense than just jiu-jitsu.
100%. So my promotions go pretty viral. They're pretty.
Oh yeah.
What's crazy, Professor? One time I posted my, like, have you been on Reddit? The Reddit Jiu-Jitsu. Hey, those guys are insane.
Yeah.
Like, I posted my stuff on there, like, hey, we just had a big promotion, check it out. And they're like, that's not jiu-jitsu. What is, like? I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? At that time I was like, I'm a 3rd degree black belt. Like, you're not a real black. It was great. Hey, I had to delete all my stuff.
That's crazy.
But like, not long story short, because we're talking, but it was, that's why I teach the way that I do, because that one person felt that our training style helped save his life. How much more could I help somebody else? And that was very, very important for me. That was very, very important.
Yeah, that scenario-based training.
Yeah,
it's money.
Yeah,
that's where it's at.
Yeah.
No.
Have you ever witnessed an officer getting hurt or unintentionally use more force than necessary because they lack the proper training?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is a common occurrence right now. I mean, easily I can ask you to open your phone and open Instagram, and you're going to find a viral video.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not single to one certain department and or state or agency. It's across the nation.
Sure.
Right. My department could potentially and is potentially guilty of it as well. Right. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it's not I don't believe that it's the agency's responsibility to provide that level of training. I think it's the officers themselves' responsibility to seek outside training and to want to better themselves.
Right.
Right. But to answer your question, I mean, we've all seen it.
Yeah.
We've all seen it,
Competition is amazing, but the street isn't a tournament. What's the biggest difference between training to win medals and training to survive? So you've done both. You've trained to compete, and you also train to survive. I've seen the stuff you do. You work with Ashley sometimes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I love Ashley. So what's the biggest difference between those two mindsets?
The two mindsets, there's a huge difference between the two. Competitive mindset, I can tell you right now, you're making it home.
Yeah.
You're making it home.
Sure.
Right? You may have bumps, bruises. You may break your arm because you're too stubborn to tap. Right? But out in the real world, I mean, you don't get to tap.
Yeah.
Right? You don't get the assurance of you're going to make it home and see your children that night. Right? And furthermore, I mean, if we're talking about on duty, there's a gun.
Yeah.
There's a gun. Doesn't mean he's got a gun, but guess what? We got a gun in our hip.
Yeah.
Right. So the big difference is there's always a firearm, meaning there's always that lethal aspect to that encounter.
Yeah.
Right. And the difference between the two, as far as like how we approach that scenario in competition, I may pull guard, right?
Sure,
I may butt scoot, right?
As an NCAA wrestling champ, we're not going to stand up with them.
And then if I do that out in the field, I mean, I'm going to get kicked in the face. I'm going to eat a knee.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of my story right there. Yeah. So there's a huge difference between the two, man. And I can't stress it enough. And we see it all the time on, like we were just talking about this, right? Like, don't underestimate your opponent or the person you encounter. Sure. Right. But we'll see it with like certain jiu-jitsu, let's say, influencers, right? They believe they're like the top notch, untouchable, but it's like at the end of the day, man, you're an IBJJF world champ. Congratulations. But that's where it stops. Yeah. You're nobody. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if we go out to the street or if we put on those gloves, like you were just talking about. Yeah.
We used to do
what's that like?
I used to have a pretty big, I don't have any open mats anymore for a number of reasons, but I used to have a pretty huge open mat when we were based with Maita. But before that, we would have an MMA class, and I would get black belts from all over San Diego to come. And sometimes they'd get here early. You know, I was like, hey, in the class real quick, right? Yeah. And we're talking about world champions showing up, right? And like getting lumped up and like never coming back. You know what I mean? I'm like, that should make you want to come back. Yeah. That should make you want to come back. Exactly. You know, it's like I've been doing Muay Thai for the past, I think 6-7 years now, and I make all my like for I don't even teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, professor. I don't. Like, I'm more of a catch wrestler that has a gi, right? 5 stripes. I'm a 5th degree black, right? That's just, if it works, it works. I'm teaching heel hooks to white belts to my kids. Like, if it works, it works. And that's so important to me. Like, if somebody comes in with the move or something and like, well, let's try it out. Let's see. Okay, does it work on more than one person? All right, let's add it to the thing. Yeah. Let me go back to this. If you could, so talking about how often do people in your department have to train? Is it solely on their own, or because you have the guys that are defensive tactic instructors? Yes, are they the only ones that get to train, or do other officers come in weekly, or how does that work for your? No,
so in my department, we're fortunate enough to have better standards, I guess you could say, right? Sure. Than like other departments or their state regs and things like that. They're at minimum 4 times a year. Okay. 4 times a year.
And then you guys, like, what would you say is the percentage of people in your department that you work with that actually train outside of the 4 times a year?
It's a good percentage that come see us, but what I've noticed as well is in the last, I want to say 3 years, the percentage of people that are either pursuing, like, let's say Muay Thai, boxing, or especially Jiu-Jitsu, it's grown. Yeah. It's nice to see, like, in a room of 20, I can safely say that there's at least 1 to 2.
Yeah, that's good. That's
before it was rare, right?
Yeah. Like horrible.
It was nowhere near that.
How important is pressure testing? Should officers regularly train against fully resistant opponents?
I say yes, right? I say yes. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, kind of like that scenario-based training. Yeah. That's where you get pressed, right? That's where I can say, hey, you're going to start against that wall. You're pinned against the wall. Get out. Yeah. We're not going to let you out. Get out.
One of the biggest things I hear officers say is, I don't want to get injured and I can't work. So I specifically have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. class for law enforcement and military personnel only. Yeah. So like everybody knows we got to go to work today. Yeah. So we pressure test, but you're not going to, like, it's specifically designed for LEOs to get in there. So now there's no other way to say, like, oh, I don't have a class. No, there's a class for you, bro. Yeah. We're not going to put you with an 18-year-old purple belt world champion, but you're still going to get pressed. Or you're still going to, and that's important, man. These, what do you think about, have you ever worked with like the Gracie self-defense stuff, like the kata stuff? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so you're talking about like the Gracie survival tactics?
No, I love Gracie survival tactics. So not Gracie, so more like so when I was with Gracie Humaita as one of the owners, every year we had the Gracie Humaita annual business conference, right? And so we would have to go and present and do the self-defense presentation. Yeah. But the self-defense presentation, I'm like, grab the neck, like,
I've never done that. Yeah.
So in the beginning, I was like, oh, this shit is cool. Like, but it's choreographed, right? Exactly. It's not the GST, that stuff is amazing. What do you think about that stuff?
You know what? I've never done it.
Okay, yeah. But you know what I'm talking about.
But I know what you're talking about, right? Like kind of like the hair pull you turn.
And all this stuff,
It's not realistic.
It's not.
It's not because at the end of the day, if you're going to get attacked, it's safe to assume there's going to be some sort of strike.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So why don't we chaos, right? Someone's going to potentially be biting. There's going to be screaming. I mean, it looks great when the guy's holding on with 25% strength.
Yeah.
Right. But let's be real.
Yeah.
I mean,
I really got caught up in that in the beginning because I was like, oh, this is, I was training with, with one of the Gracie. Like, oh man, like how often does so you get to play basketball with the guy who invented basketball or baseball? Like I'm with, that was almost surreal. I started drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, and I taught the kids, they learned all that stuff. But then when you actually go, that's not what it looks like.
No,
that's not what it looks like at all. And so I had to but it's like anything, right? We evolve.
You evolve.
And I think one of the biggest lessons for instructors, especially if you're not evolving, like if you're teaching the same way you were teaching 5 years ago, you still the same way, you're outdated. You have to be learning new methods or the newest thing, or at least sifting. Sifting.
Well, the big thing is you got to stay in the game in order to not be left behind.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. I believe officers should train with punches, kicks, multiple attackers, weapon retention scenarios, and chaotic environments, not just clean grappling exchanges. What's your perspective? I think we kind of talked about it already, right?
Yeah. Totally agree with you on that.
All right. Some hard questions here. In your opinion, what percentage of officers consistently train outside of mandatory department training?
As a whole percentage, if we're talking nationwide, I mean, it's going to be a small percentage, to be honest with you. We're either going to be looking at like a 5% or 10% at most.
Let's talk about that. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that you obviously got picked to become a defensive tactics instructor? You show up and you realize, oh, wait a minute, I don't know what I was asked. I don't know what I got myself into. Now I need it, right?
Yeah.
But what's the mindset? Like, help the viewers understand, because I feel like if everybody was mandated to become a blue belt before you become an officer or something like that, right? Like, man, the confidence, right? You're not going to. What is that mindset? What stops an officer from wanting to train?
So the big thing is going to be a couple of things, right? I think number one, and we hear it all the time, is going to be the officer's ego to begin with.
Okay,
right? Is primarily in law enforcement and any first responder field, you're going to have that alpha mentality, right? And now the alpha does not like to lose. And that's where the ego comes into play. And the big thing is let's say and I say this all the time, let's get the smallest blue belt, purple belt on the mat, right? And let's get the biggest first dayer, right? And you already know what the purple is going to do. He's going to own that person, right? And that's going to hurt that person's ego. And law enforcement are no different than that. And so I think ego is the big part. A secondary part is what we talked about earlier, which is going to be the injuries themselves, right? They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to be right at the desk for so often because of an injury and so forth. But when we look back and we look at the injuries, we look at self-inflicted injuries. And that's what it boils down to, right? It's why? Because the individual did not know how to properly move. The individual did not tap, right? The individual went the wrong way from a heel hook, for example, right? And why? Because ego. We go back to the ego. The ego got in the way. And I think that's primarily the two reasons, because what happens is, and I've done this before, where I isolate one individual, right? And I have them drill with me alone, just alone at work. And I'm like, hey, just come over here. Let's try this and see how you like it. And they end up having fun and liking it, right? And then now they're back for another class. Now they get more comfortable, right? But that's because they weren't humiliated. Their ego wasn't hurt.
Right?
I
think that falls a lot on the instructor as well. Like when the instructor should know the student base. Like I used to have a pretty big association. At one point I had nine gyms underneath me. And I would always tell the owners, like, who are you going after? Who is your niche? Like, what kind of students do you want? Anybody. I'm like, no, you're going to lose that way. Like I purposely set a position to have military law enforcement, right-leaning conservatives. Like that's kind of like the mindset of who I want. Because I want to build a culture there, right? Not to say that anybody else who doesn't believe that way can't come, but that's the culture. Because most military guys or law enforcement guys that I started building were more conservative, a lot of them were military guys, so that's who I went after. And the culture of the gym has stayed that way for a long time. I believe culture is important. And so because I know most of my guys are military, law enforcement, they're training for their reality. We have competition classes, but at the end of the day at 7:00 for the guys that want to compete. The majority of all my classes are self-defense fundamentals classes. And I believe you have to know who your students are to take care of them. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've seen so many classes, and I understand why some officers, like, they throw them in, and it's like, hey, this guy's a cop.
Yeah,
right? And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
fuck that guy, right?
Yeah,
like it's weird, right? So you have like the 10th Planet guys, like those guys have their thing.
Yeah.
You have, like the Brazilian schools, like Alliance or Those are just Brazilian schools for the most part, or guys that want to be Brazilian.
Sure,
Right?
yeah. I'll say
And then you have like American Jiu-Jitsu with Keenan. Like I love that how he's doing that, right? So you build these cultures, but I believe it's important for the professor to also know, like, hey, dude, this guy's an accountant, so I'm not gonna have him go with like the guy getting ready for the Abu Dhabi trials. Like that's not happening.
Yeah.
But you see that a lot, right? You see, so I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I still think sometimes it's like a horrible way to step out if you know that you need it for your job. If you know that it could save your life. Have you ever watched body camera footage and immediately thought, man, better training could have changed the outcome?
100%. And this happens all the time. I get body cam footage from other departments and so forth, other officers, being sent to me on the regular.
Yeah.
Right. Their own, and then whatever they may come across in their department or
they ask you to review it and go, nice.
And then I watch it, and certain individuals will send it to me, and like you said, ask me like, what could I have done better?
Yeah.
Right. How could I avoid this? Right. And so it happens a lot. And part of my duties is to watch body cam footage, right?
Okay.
And kind of set forth and kind of throw in notes for upcoming training and what avenues we might be exploring for the future, right? As far as what the troops may be needing and so forth.
If you could write up the defensive tactics protocol for what's kind of funny, or not funny but sad, is that I'll meet people from different departments and like, I can do this, I can't do that. Like what? Right? So we get a lot of federal guys that kind of do a lot more than the state guys and the local guys.
For sure.
And if you could come up with like a few things that every officer should need to know, like if you were going to write up a protocol for like a universal thing, what would be some of the top 3 things that every officer should know?
So one of them would be, of course, weapon retention.
Yeah.
Right. Weapon retention. And that can go into different avenues, right? That can go to long arms, your sidearm, and so forth. And weapon retention could be anywhere from, let's say, the ground to your feet and so forth. On top of that, of course, I would like to add some grappling to that, right? Because I believe that with grappling, even though it's not the end all be all, right? But we can subside those strikes from potentially even landing, right? And then every arrest, when we look at it, ends on the ground.
Yeah.
So therefore, we need the grappling aspect to all curriculum.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it doesn't mean you got to be this high class level guy, but you got to know the basics.
Yeah.
Right. You got to know the basics. And then honestly, on top of that, potentially case law and paperwork.
Oh,
right.
okay.
Like write-ups.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Because you'd be surprised, man. It's like, writing a report for some people it's like asking them to go against a world champion and tap them out. It's that hard.
And that's everything, right?
And
when you go to court, right, that report is everything.
It's everything, but it's hard to translate what you physically did into words for most people.
Yeah.
Right? Because first of all, they don't know what they did.
Right.
Right. But now if we add the knowledge with the grappling, now it's like, boom, it's there.
Yeah.
Right. So I believe with those 3 things, and again, with weapon retention, we look at spatial awareness.
Yeah.
That is a full spectrum, right? That's like you're entering a room with the rifle, that's weapon retention, right? Because at the end of the day, someone may grab your rifle, right? It's spatial awareness and yeah, man, I mean, with those 3 things, I honestly do believe that any officer can succeed.
Do you think that those things aren't mandated because of just money?
No, well, they're there.
They're there?
They're there, right? So they are there, but the problem always circles back to time.
Okay.
Time, right?
Yeah, you only have a certain amount of time because you
only have a certain
training for this, training for that. Yeah.
Most departments do have that in their curriculum per se, but it's very limited. Right. Not only on time, but also it depends on what instructor is regurgitating the information.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of departments and so forth, you get let's say you want to become an instructor for, let's say you go to this 40-hour course, you get your certificate, a piece of paper, and then you're thrown into the wolf's den and you're like, go teach. Well, who cares what your background is?
Right.
You could be some 3-year wonder who just got on with no martial arts experience, but now you're head of that department, and now you got to teach.
That's insane.
That's crazy, right?
That's insane.
That's crazy.
A prerequisite to get onto defense tactics should be that you have some training or some experience.
So, like for my department, for example, that's a big rec.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's required, but it's favored.
Yeah.
Right. But that's a unicorn department, right?
Yeah.
Other agencies and stuff.
I've seen like
you don't need it.
Luis Corrubias is one of my black belts, and
Yeah.
and like he'll show pictures of Pando training. I'm like, dude, I know all those guys. Like,
Yeah.
I go, that was your training session today?
Yeah.
Bro, that's insane. That's crazy. Okay. Law enforcement places tremendous stress on the mind and body. How has jiu-jitsu helped you stay mentally and healthy and avoid burnout?
The career is rough. The career is hard, right?
On its own, right?
On its own. It's hard. It's stressful. There's things that you can't unsee. Yeah. Right. And you got to go home with them because at the end of the day, you're a father, you're a husband, you're a boyfriend, you're a girlfriend, whatever it is. Right. And you got to learn to shut it off.
Right? Is it, so when you shut off, are you detaching, or what do you do? Let's stop there for a second. So before you walk in the door to your kids, you said you had a 20-month-old.
Yes.
That's beautiful, right? I look at these guys and I think they're like 6 years old until I see a real 6-year-old.
Yeah,
It's always gonna be like that. and I think women will never understand what it takes to be a man, right? And how we carry things and things with, whatever depression or whatever you're dealing with, you don't want to take it home to your wife or to your kids. How do you deal with that? If you could share, how do you, before you go home, because I really believe in your energy, and if you walk in with that, your kids are going to feel it, or eventually your family feels it. How do you deal with that?
Correct. So for me, honestly, what helps me, and I do this every day, 7 days a week, right, is I work out. Yeah. That is my avenue. Yeah. Right. So I have a home gym in my house. Nice. A full gym in the garage. I have everything I need. Right. I have mats. Yeah. So I know that at some point when I get home, whether it's when the baby's asleep, the wife is cleaning the house, whatever it is, I'm going to be in that garage every day without a doubt. That's good. Right. And that's my avenue. Is I don't want to say I bottle it away, but I put it aside for the time being, and then I kind of take it out in the gym. Yeah. 100%. Right. On my own. I just put my ear pods on and I just squat or do whatever it is. And
do you go until you're exhausted?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah. I go until I can't go anymore. Yeah. Right. And then I go to jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And then when I'm done, I'm happy. Yeah. It's not that I'm not happy. I'm always happy, right? Sure. But it's like that burden is gone. Yeah. Right. Because I think the worst thing you can do is, like you said, walk through that door with no avenue, and you're carrying it all day, because it will eat you alive.
It turns into a cancer.
It does.
Cancer. What has the mat taught you about humility, emotional control? We just kind of talked about that, and making decisions under pressure. How do you correlate those three things?
The understanding that you can perform under chaos is the big thing out of that. Yeah. Right. What I took from that, and what the mat has taught me, is that no matter what's presented at the time, there's always a way out. Yeah. Yeah. Right. There's always a way out.
That's a beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu, the analogies that you can correlate with life, right? Like yesterday we had I have our gigantic kids program, and I buy these championship belts. So we made our little cubs ages 3 to 6. They had a tournament yesterday, right? Nice. And these kids are crying, and they're like, they don't want to fight each other with their parents. It's like we pressure test them, right? Yeah. And the kids are crying, and my youngest son was coaching one of the little girls. How old is little Penny? 4? What? Yeah, she's 4. She's a little strawberry shortcake distal, right? Yeah. She made it to the semifinals. Nice. And both girls are crying because it's emotional, right? Yeah. It's emotional, mentally stressing. People are there. You almost lost. There were great matches. And then so my son tells little Penny, he goes, "Look at the other girl. She's crying too. Look at her. She's crying. She's just as tired as you." And Professor, you should have seen the parents afterwards. The parents were like, "Oh my God." I did Penny's dad was like, "I didn't know." Oh, because she's this little girl that never wants to train, wants to compete. Yeah. She's just sometimes she's on the wall, but we forced her. And then at one point she was going to quit. Unless you tap, you're not stopping. People are crying, we're not going to stop. You just how you want. And that little push was these little bubbles of growth on them. Yeah. And it's so important that
pressure test.
We continue to do that as you get older, right? There's something about people not wanting, there's no growth without pressure, right? You don't grow in when it's calm. There's no growth there, And it's very important for us to continue to do that. And it's harder. I think it's harder for me too, as I get older. I'm not the main guy in the gym anymore, right? Yeah. That happened that stopped 10 years ago.
But that's also nice though, because you get to step back.
It is, but I'm in this portion of my life now where like I have to stop. Like I used to train in all the classes.
Yeah.
Now I'm only doing 2 rounds in this class. I teach at 5 o'clock, at 10 o'clock, 5 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you gotta, as you start to get 50, like I got 30 years of jiu-jitsu. Like my right leg is 1 inch shorter than my left leg. I have no cartilage here, right?
Oh man.
And it's like, now I've fallen in love with jiu-jitsu in a different way. I've really fallen in love with teaching.
Yeah.
And like I had this whole new group of white belts that came in. And I love, me and my sons teach together. And like I love seeing them teach.
Yeah.
And so it's not so much about like tapping people out anymore like it was when I was a blue belt or
sure.
like I just it's not even about that. Like I love it when my students tap me out and they're like, "First, was that real?" I'm like, I let you have it, but no, they got me. They got me. You got me. But I'm not gonna let them know that. I'm like, professor, what are you talking about, right? Yeah. But I'm at that stage too where you're battling that young lion and to the old lion, right? It's like I'm not 100% the old lion yet, so I still deal with that, but mentally. That's the reason I asked you, like, do you go to your exhausted? Because when I'm dealing with stuff, because I'm also a pastor, and I deal with people's, I'm counseling people, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, and I'm taking that stuff in too, even my own things you carry, and it's like, man, I'll go until I'm exhausted, and I'm like, and then I just leave it on the mat. Like that's the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is you get to, and I tell people, leave your trauma and leave your stuff outside. It's waiting for you. Right? Don't bring it onto the mat. Be present, be focused. I always say being present is an art form. You spoke about that, being present at home.
Yes.
Being present is an art form. But you know these guys that show up, they'll show up to work with their family calls, right? And then that affects the way they interact with coworkers and with people on the street, I think one of the biggest things that jiu-jitsu has taught me is learning how to be present, because when someone has your back and you're about to get choked and it's a hard training session, you're not worried about the bills. You're like,
no, you're worried about your life.
And being present is one thing that I think, because we live in such a fast-paced world, people bypass, people don't understand that, and it's, I think the second or the moment you understand or begin to understand how important being present is, like, I look at my kids, they're, 8 or 19, 21, and I have to be present, because in a blink of an eye, I'm going to be 60 and they're going to be like, the other one's going to go into the Air Force, going to be a PJ, my little guy, my older one getting ready to fight MMA. And then it's like a blink of an eye. Like it's a blink of an eye.
It is.
It is. And if you don't learn how to be present, you're going to miss a lot of things.
100%.
Miss a lot of things. When life gets heavy, what does stepping onto the mat do for you more than anything else? What does it seem to do for you? I think we talked about that, but is there anything else that it does for you when life gets heavy?
Yeah, no, I mean, it calms me. It calms me, and it's like you said, no matter what kind of day I had at home, on, at work, whatever it is, I know when I step on that mat, it's going to stay on that mat.
Yeah.
And nothing, it literally stays there. Like I could literally have a shitty day at work.
Yeah.
I can have an argument with my wife.
Yeah.
I can have a bad day because the bills are stacking, whatever it is, right? Sure. And then I train, and it's like nothing matters.
She trains with you at Legion?
Yeah.
Is she law enforcement as well?
No, she's not.
So she started training after you? Did you guys?
We met on the mat.
Oh,
so
nice.
So I was a brown belt. I was in and out of the state for work at the time, right? And I was a brown belt, and that's when I initially met her.
Okay.
And then when I received my black belt, she was a white belt, like a one-stripe white belt. Yeah. So then we left together, and she's been with me the whole time. Nice. I gave her her purple belt.
Nice.
Cyborg.
That's awesome.
Right.
Okay.
And then Pancho, I was there with Pancho when he, promoted her to blue belt.
Okay.
So,
right on.
Yeah.
So you're training with Keenan and all those guys at Legion. What's the culture like there?
Oh, the culture is great, man. I've been to, like we were talking prior, I've been to a lot of schools. I've been a part of a lot of schools. And there's nothing like Legion, right? Because, what was refreshing for me was there's no politics. There's no mat politics, right? None of that. There's no hierarchy, right? There's none of that because there's various coaches.
Keenan seems like a really down-to-earth person.
And he's honestly, what was funny with that, he just gave me my first degree, right? Not too long ago, right? And the backstory to that was when I was coming up, I was a big gi guy. So like I looked up to Keenan, like I watched all his videos and everything.
American do some good, some of his own systems and stuff, right?
And then to like now be under him.
That's cool.
Right, and have him put the degree on me. It's like a full circle, a dream come true kind of thing, But going back to what you asked, I mean, there's, like I said, with Legion, there's no politics. There's not, you get in, you get out, you train. Right. I haven't had one issue there, and I haven't really seen anybody have an issue there. right?
I've seen Sloan do like some MMA work there. Do you guys have an MMA team, or is that just him getting ready for
No,
the
that's just so what we do is
he's a beast.
yeah, Sloan's a monster.
I used to have him come and teach the 5 a.m. classes every once in a while, and then during COVID he came by a couple of times. That guy is just I met him when he was a purple belt at an open mat. I saw him at a purple belt, like armbar one of my I have a black belt that's like 290. We call him the polar bear, right?
Yeah.
And I just saw him like armbar him from the bottom of it, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this white dude over here?" I think I might say white boy. Who's this white boy right here? Like smashing everybody. I think that's what he was like with. He wasn't even with Boogie yet or anything. He would think he was like he had a gi on. It was just, I don't know who he was with, but I remember I took note very quickly of who that dude was.
Yeah, he's a monster, man. He's it's caveman.
Yeah.
But as far as like, we don't really have an MMA team. It's like we have guys that fight MMA, and he kind of takes them under his wing.
Okay.
The classes are catered certain times for them as they're coming up for fights and stuff. And
you guys got a really big, popular open mat.
Yeah, right? We do on Sundays.
How many guys do you guys get out there?
Yeah, so we get at least about 100 people.
Wow, that's
right,
crazy.
And it's divided half and half. So during the same time, like from 12 to 2:30, you have gi and no gi going on at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah,
and there's never been an issue there. Everybody's pretty cool.
No, everyone's been awesome, man.
That's good.
I mean,
that's how it should be, man. That's how
just
it should be.
at the end of the day, it's just jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's I wish it was like that everywhere, but it's not, man. Sometimes, What's next for Oscar Magaña? More competition, more teaching, expanding law enforcement training. What's your mission? Where's your mission going to be taking you over the next few years? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah. So, competition. I'm always in the game.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'm down to compete whenever, wherever. Yeah. So that's no factor. As far as teaching goes, I'm always open to providing law enforcement with whatever they may need. Yeah. Right. For example, if there's a school that wants to host, by all means, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Right. So those. I
saw you recently, right, within the past few months, you did something at Legion, didn't you?
Yeah, so I've done 2 law enforcement seminars at Legion, right, because they're big on
how was the outcome there?
They're pretty good. The first seminar, I believe we had about 50 attendees.
That's great.
The second seminar was a little smaller, cut by like half, right? No surprise.
Yeah, sure.
Right, it's cops.
Yeah.
Before that, I had done, I believe, 3 with like Ashley. I had done like 3 on my own at other schools, and I did some with Jiu-Jitsu 5.0 as well.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I've done a few of them.
Okay.
And I've been a part of other ones as well, as far as like instructor cadres and stuff like that. So I mean, those are still going. Right. Like I said, if there's a school out there, just reach out and we'll get it going. Like I said, they're free of cost. Nice. I don't like charging officers because officers are cheap.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, just put them on. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good. Man, there's no. So at the end, we'll give you all information. There's no excuse. There's no excuse.
There isn't. Yeah.
All right, let's hit the lightning round. All right, quick questions. Gi or no gi?
No gi.
Do you ever see yourself putting the gi back on?
No.
No. Favorite submission?
It would probably be a guillotine.
Guillotine. Favorite guard?
Open guard.
Most underrated position in jiu-jitsu?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Most underrated will probably be side control.
Yeah. Okay. What's one drill every officer should do every week?
What was that again?
What's one drill every officer should be doing every week?
Movement drills. Offlining.
Perfect. What's one mistake you see officers make in training?
Let's as far as like them inside of a training scenario.
Yes.
Spatial awareness.
If every rookie had 1 year before going on patrol, what would you spend the most time teaching?
It would probably be ground tactics.
One book every officer should read.
Oh man, that's a good one. I'm not much of a reader.
The Warrior Ethos.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Which officer would win in a row? The biggest guy in the department or the most technical guy?
Most technical.
If you could train with anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh man, that's a good one. If I could train with anybody in the world, let's see. I've been so lucky. I've trained with so many people.
Nice.
So many people. I think if I'd have to say one person, man. Wow, let's say you.
Yeah,
let's go.
I always say I would want to train with Henzo just because of the stories afterwards, like the stories, right? I love that. Coffee before training or after?
Negative. I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm a pre-workout kind of guy. Right on the mat.
What pre-workout?
I take Nitroflex and I dry scoop right before I step on. Yeah.
I used to dry scoop until I messed up my throat really bad. I had to go to the doctors. Yeah. All right. How about this one? One word that defines a great police officer.
Committed.
Yeah, that's good. One word that defines a great black belt.
Humble.
Yeah. All right. I've lived on both sides of violence. Before Christ changed my life, I was surrounded by criminals, and today I train law enforcement officers and have the privilege of serving many agencies. From your perspective, what's the biggest misunderstanding officers have about criminals, and what's the biggest misunderstanding criminals have about officers?
That's a good question. As far as what officers and criminals go, I mean, I don't like to call them criminals,
Right?
right? Because their past doesn't define who they are,
100%.
right? But I'm going to say if that person is committing a crime, then at that time they're a criminal, right? But in regards to misconception, is that their past follows them, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing, right? Because for example, if I call record checks in and I see that this individual has done time, right, then I think the worst thing I can do is that to assume that he's still in that life. Right? 100%. Because we all make mistakes. Sure. We're all adults.
Some people just got caught. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Some people got caught. Right. So I think the big thing is judging a book or judging the person right off the bat, given their past. Right. Because I don't think that one bad action defines who you are.
Sure.
Right.
100%.
And as far as the criminal with the officer, with that one itself, I mean, we're just human.
Yeah.
We're just human. We're no one special. We're no one different, right? The only difference is that we took an oath and this is our job.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we all have families, right? We're not there to mess with you or do whatever. We're there for a reason, right? So I think respect goes both ways.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
I think the beautiful thing about the mats, just like church, right? On any given weekend or weekday, you can go to a mat and you just see the rash guards or the gi, right? Yeah. And you're like, you got a lawyer, a doctor, a guy dealing coke, right? You got all these things right here, right? Like you have all these elements there, and you don't until you get to know somebody.
Yeah, you don't know.
You're just training, right? Yeah. And then I've actually seen like barriers broken down. Like I had a good friend that just hated police officers, and I was like, why? Because you fucked up. Like,
you got
caught like that. And I was like, well, you can come train with me, but dude, I got like 80% of my dudes are. Yeah, and they're all cool, so don't act stupid. And he ended up, and now his best friend is a border patrol guy.
Oh, yeah, like cool
because of the mat.
Yeah,
and it's like, and the only other place I would see that happening is at church. You just show up, right? And it's people show up hurting or whatever. People show up because they understand they need jiu-jitsu for whatever reason. They want to get in better shape. They want to learn self-defense. Their best friend does whatever. Then all of a sudden you meet, right? I have lifelong friends. That I have more friends from jiu-jitsu than I have from anywhere else.
Oh, like, for sure.
From just being in the culture and just meeting beautiful people, right? Beautiful people.
I think what it is therapy.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, church and the mat. It's
100%.
You go there for therapy to an extent, right?
Yeah,
and I think that's what it is. You leave it there and then you meet new people and new relationships.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. When your career is over, the radio has gone silent and the badge has been turned in, and you're no longer known as Oscar Magaña, what do you hope people remember most? Not about the officer you were, but about the man you became.
Training. You know, when I leave, because that's going to happen in 6.5 years, just remember, training matters. Yeah. Train. There's going to be another trainer. Training matters.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
Professor, looking at your camera right here, how can people reach you if they want to get in contact with you, if they want to come train with you, bring you out for seminars, or contact you for anything? How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so if you guys want to get a hold of me, just find me on Instagram. It's going to be Grappling Leo with an underscore, right? And then if there's any schools out there that are pro law enforcement and would like to host a law enforcement seminar, again, just send me a DM and we can get it going.
Do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank?
As far as sponsors go, no, there's no sponsors that I like to thank right now, right? Other than potentially my wife, right? So because without her, right, I wouldn't be here right now because I got the kids. So I'd want to thank my wife and then thank everyone at Legion for everything, and thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, Professor, for being here. So any law enforcement friendly products, let's come out and reach the Professor, all right, guys? Guys, that has been your Grappling with Grace podcast for this week. We thank you so much. We hope you enjoy it. We'll see you soon.